Hello, this is Harco Sports, and we're here today with Mr. Ken Zorbach. And Mr. Zorbach is the Supervisor of High School Physical Education and Athletics. And we want to talk to Mr. Zorbach today about a new policy that's been put out by the MPSSAA, that is the preseason practice heat and acclimatization guidelines for student athletes. Mr. Zorbach, the MPSSAA recently established these guidelines for dealing with the summer preseason practices. Can you briefly explain what these guidelines entail and really the rationale for establishing these guidelines?
Well, the rationale started from the state legislators who were petitioned by some parents that there should be some guidelines in place that weren't in place. So the state legislators in April passed a bill telling MSDE, which is essentially MPSSAA, that they need to come up with heat guidelines for athletics. So in June, the MPSSAA got together a committee of trainers and doctors, athletic directors, some coaches, and came up with the heat guidelines that are going to be in place for this fall.
All right. And how are these changes going to affect the way the Harford County football teams conduct their summer practices?
Well, it's not only for the football teams, but it's all fall sports will be changed for their time they're allowed to be on the field. A lot of teams are used to doing two-a-days. There are no more two-a-days until the sixth day of practice, when the students are acclimated to the heat. Practice has been allowed to go from a 2-hour time period that we always had, that they now can practice for a 3-hour block, but that'll be it.
Okay. And so that would be, is there any way that they can do a two-a-day practice?
The only time they can be on the field twice a day is if they do a 3-hour practice, and they have to have a 3-hour rest period, and then they can come back out on the field for a 1-hour walkthrough. But the walkthrough doesn't allow them to use any kind of equipment or balls for a walkthrough.
So it's essentially what an off-season practice would be for a team.
I wouldn't say an off-season practice. It's a walkthrough. They can walk through plays, but not do that in the off-season.
Okay. And that's what's going on, and that is with every team across the board. If there was a field hockey team that wanted to do two-a-day practices, it's the same thing?
It's the same thing. We didn't, although it seems like it's made towards football, hockey does have a goalie equipment. That the goalie equipment is going to be introduced at a incremental stage for field hockey goalies. Goalies for soccer, they can still wear their gloves right away and shin guards because it's protective equipment for them. But we decided that we're going to it's going to be for all the sports. We're not going to differentiate one for another, and across the state, everyone's doing the same thing.
So then I guess the day of the old two-a-day is, the way that we know it from the past is no longer going to be like that.
Pretty much.
Okay. And how the coaches seem to have reacted to this change in plans?
The reaction for all the coaches, not only football coaches, but soccer coaches and field hockey coaches, that it really changed their plans, because at the end of the school year, when they give out their schedules to parents and students, this is how we're going to practice. Parents already started making plans for certain things. Now they had to turn around, and a lot of them had to go back and redo their whole schedule, practice time, whether they're going to be in the morning or afternoon. If they had a split schedule, they can't even do a split practice time anymore.
Okay. So this sounds like it's a pretty groundbreaking thing. What other measures has Harford County taken over the past few years to better protect its student athletes while they're on the athletic field?
On the heat before, we've had heat guidelines already in place from before, where we look at the heat and humidity, and if it reaches a certain level, practices are curtailed, or mandatory rest periods are given, or it's canceled altogether. And the other thing we've done for concussions, this is the second year we've implemented the impact testing for all players in football, girls and boys soccer, and boys and girls lacrosse, because they're the highest sports that have concussions.
All right, great. Well, thank you very much for your time today, and thank you for clearing that up for us, and we look forward to visiting with you again throughout the season.
Thank you.